What was missing with the Rangers?
Spirit. I think more than anything. It started in the summer.
Yeah.
When Barclay Goodrow was waived, that sent a shock to all the players. Players were incensed because they didn't think it was handled properly. And so that was in June. And then the Jacob Trouba saga, which lasted really for months, because that started a couple of days before July 1 free agency. And that carried forward. And the players talked about this in their breakup meetings that they had a few weeks ago about how it affected them. And so you lose your captain and an alternate captain, and two players that would do anything to win. And they had a lot of heart and soul of that team was through Barclay Goodrow and through Jacob Trouba. And so that had a real effect, and it affected Jacob. And he told his teammates, he said, I can't get to the point where I was before because of all this thing. And of course, then his family gets dragged into it. And it was so early on, so the spirit of the team wasn't there. I mean, the 12-4 start was not as good as the record showed. That was goaltending. And they just didn't have the same spirit or life that they had. It wasn't even close from the year before. Year before, they thought they could win every game. It didn't matter if they were behind. I think they had 28 come from behind wins the season before when they won the President's Cup. They didn't have that. And, people asked me, I had my doubts in January and February whether they're going to make the playoffs or not. And a lot of people thought, they'll make it. They got one of the best goaltenders, their talent, but they didn't. They were missing something. It wasn't there. And then there were changes, of course, and trades and whatnot. And so to me, that was the biggest thing that was missing. And they were never able to come back and recover that spirit that they needed. Because if they would have had that, the talent that they had, they would have made the playoffs. But they just didn't have that.
What do you make of Mike Sullivan being the new head coach?
I love Mike.
He's a friend of yours. I mean,
yeah,
he's a friend of yours.
He is, and I got to know Mike. I mean, we had a relationship when he was the head coach of Boston, and I started in the business, so I got to know Mike a little bit then. Got to know him a lot more when he was an assistant coach with the Rangers under John Tortorella, and we've kept that relationship and friendship and the business relationship as well because of our positions over the years. And so I think it's a great choice. And I hope he has enough to be able to change what needs to be changed. And because this year, and I think Chris Drury said it, in his final remarks, that it was an organizational failure from top to bottom. And you can't not point your fingers at the players as well, because they are obligated and to play and to try and win. And there were many games where they just weren't there at all. And so there's criticism that can go throughout. And I think the most important thing is that everybody learns from it. I think Chris Drury has to learn from it as well. He's the president and the GM. And so, and for, a relatively young GM in the league, I think there's always lessons to be learned about, okay, this didn't work. If you self-analyze the season and what happened and how it happened and the responses from players and everyone else, maybe I didn't do everything right. Maybe I need to change. Maybe this needs to change. And I think all that's going on. We've seen teams in the past that have these types of seasons. And, but I think, that needs to happen. And I think Mike, the way he he's got a toughness to him, but he's got this ability to communicate well with players. And of course, he's got the experience, and he's a winner. So I think the choice is great. I don't think it could have been a better choice.
When you say change what needs to be changed, is there anything specific in that?
Well, I think what needs to change is the need to get back to a culture that it's like, I think it's like any of us. I don't think it's just sports. I think it's anything. And I've read a lot and listened to a lot of leaders in different industries and businesses. And so much of it is about culture and wanting your employees to want to work and to enjoy themselves. And I think if you get that, then they'll do anything for you to have success. It's easy when things are going well, but when things go the other way, do you have the people who say, we got to get ourselves out of this? And I think they lost some of that. So I think that's a change that needs to be made, is that players just come and play and not be upset about what's going on before. And, and bring all that together to start on that road because I don't think you can win unless you have that.